They say a name can determine your destiny. In John's case, the writing wasn't just on the wall, it was in the sky. John's namesake, a close family friend, Brigadier General John A. Reynolds, a hero who was shot down over Vietnam, survived 7 years as a POW, and returned home with his head held high. That legacy of courage seeped right into John's DNA. Just look at this kid, 5 years old, wearing a jet pilot's helmet. Most kids want to be astronauts or cowboys. John just wanted the keys to the jet. In high school, John worked tirelessly to get accepted into the United States Air Force Academy, but he didn't get there alone. His parents, Joe and Gail, were his original ground crew. They nurtured those big dreams and provided the unwavering support he needed to aim high. Once he got to the academy, he found his true element, the air. Before he ever lit an afterburner, he mastered the foundational flying skills in a glider on his journey to become the extraordinary fighter pilot and airline captain that he is. This is where he met Clint, a fellow cadet, a fellow pilot, and a lifelong friend. They taught gliding to other cadets for 3 years. Legend has it that when their students went back to the barracks, John and Clint would sneak in a few, let's call them unauthorized flights, chasing thermals and testing the limits of gravity. What started as flying became something closer to legend. After graduation, John strapped into the F-16 Fighting Falcon, the Viper. He started in the neon glow of Las Vegas, but it wasn't long before he found himself at Kunsan Air Force Base in South Korea. From the high deserts of Nevada to the edge of the DMZ, John was honing his craft. Somewhere along the way, Thailand slipped into the story. Though a brief assignment, Thailand left a lasting impression, especially after the day's work was done. The next assignment sounds more like a movie script, Denmark. John was sent to fly with the Royal Danish Air Force, sharing the finer points of the F-16 with a new team. Working alongside the Royal Danish Air Force, the exchange went both ways. He learned fluent Danish, so fluent, in fact, that he translated military fighter jet books for a Danish author. He was truly a local. After Denmark, John returned stateside to fly out of Peoria, Illinois. And this is where the story proves that John is made of tougher stuff than the rest of us. During a training mission, there was let's call it a misunderstanding of physics involving a visiting pilot. The mid-air collision wasn't John's fault, but the laws of gravity didn't care. John had to punch out. He ejected mid-air, parachuted down, and landed in a tree. He fell from the tree and fractured his spine. Most people would call it a career. John called it a minor setback. He healed up, suited up, and got back in the cockpit. His next chapter took him to the warmth of Tucson, Arizona, flying for the National Guard. But this era wasn't just about flying. It was about family. It was here that he and Sanna's mom, Nancy, teamed up to raise their incredible daughter, Sanna. And honestly, she made the job easy. Smart, talented, and full of life. Raising her wasn't a challenge to be managed. For John, being Sanna's dad was simply the best assignment he ever had. In 1995, John traded the afterburners for the night shift. He joined the Purple Tail Fleet at FedEx. 30 years, my friends. That isn't just a job, that's an entire era of aviation. He applied that same fighter pilot precision to the heavy jets. But instead of dodging missiles, he was dodging thunderstorms over the Pacific and battling the toughest enemy of all, the sunrise after an all-nighter. From the busy superhub in Memphis to the snowy runways of Anchorage, John became a master of the long haul. He rose to captain, commanding the biggest jets in the sky. Over 3 decades, he likely transported everything from life-saving medicine to kids' Christmas presents. He became the invisible engine that kept the world moving. While the rest of us were dreaming in our beds, John was at 35,000 feet, making sure the world on time was a promise kept. But just as he was starting the approach for the final leg of his career, life gave John the ultimate upgrade. He met Linda. They say timing is everything in aviation, and this timing was perfect. Linda was the missing piece. Connected by a shared love of live music, travel, and new adventures, they have been on a permanent honeymoon since day one. And they didn't just build a romance, they built a foundation. Together, they created a beautiful home in Memphis, a sanctuary they designed to share with the friends and family they love. Linda didn't just join him for the landing. She's the reason the next chapter is going to be the best one yet. From storming the skies over Europe, hauling the heavy iron for 30 years at FedEx, raising Santa, and ultimately finding his soulmate, Linda, John hasn't just flown through life, he's commanded it. Wheels down, engines off, mission accomplished. Happy retirement, Captain.